Hello traders everyone, how is everyone doing? Can you please let me know if the chat function and everything is working fine? So you can see the chat function actually on YouTube on the right. So if someone can say something, write something down, that would be great. Julio is here. Hello, Julio. Where are you coming from? Christian is here. Virmantas, let me know from where are you coming, guys. I know that that's why we have actually it's 3 p.m. here, so it's probably the best time to stream this webinar, as you know, because the US also wakes up and there's a lot of demand for analysis, obviously, at the start of the US session. Lithuania, everything okay. From Egypt, Germany. Okay, so we have a lot of visitors today. Let me just share screen. Okay. Okay, so you probably see the charts, right? I mean the website. Okay, let me just put my notes in. I'm working from home today because not from office, so it's a bit issue for me to stream from one screen because I have so many stuff up here. Okay, so hope you will go to Euro Pound today. Okay, maybe I will take a look in a second. Not in a second, I mean for a second, whenever we are ready to cover it later. Okay, so as you know, the market sold off last week. We have seen a pretty strong sell-off at the end of the week on technology sector. Here I have this overlay chart, okay, where you can actually see that since start of last week, let me just zoom this in, since start of last week, technology sector was one of the weakest, but other sectors were not doing so bad, okay? So the reason behind of this can be maybe some profit taking on big names like nvidia. I think it has seen a drop for what, 10% or so, but still S&P 500 was able to do quite well. Okay, not really, I mean not really well on Friday, but you would expect that S&P 500 would be trading much lower when you have nvidia down 10%, right? So in my opinion is maybe still quite interesting potential stabilization coming. I still think that if nvidia, which was one of the weakest, we have also seen Tesla moving to the downside, but if all of this profit taking will now maybe stabilize ahead of important earnings, I still assume that there can be some recovery coming. Also, let's not forget that this situation between Iran and Israel, obviously it's not over yet, but it looks like that situation is calmed down a little bit. But during these events, during the war events, during the war threats, you will typically see a very strong sell-off on stocks, but then normally market will get used to it and will try to focus on next important news. But of course, this escalation, you never know how far can go and what could trigger the potential sell-off on stocks. But overall, looking here maybe on nvidia, since I mentioned it, to start with, well, it's still an upward channel, but I would pay attention to this lower trend line support. If we really start breaking below it, then in my view we will see a bigger corrective pullback, and I'm afraid that then even other stock market sectors could potentially see a reversals here. So just be very careful at these levels. Still 700 is a very nice, very attractive potential support, but to make sure that we are headed back to the upside, you want to see this week reversal in this week, okay, because that was a pretty strong sell-off last week. So if we see another continuation, very similar candle for this week by Friday, then I assume that we will see a much deeper price action, okay, much deeper pullbacks here. Also, we posted this on Twitter as well. So if you are following us on Twitter, EW Forecast, then make sure to put your notification on as well there, because we share plenty of these interesting charts and developments. And if you look here at the top, we have the S&P 500. Here we have the moving averages, a moving average of the put-call ratio. Okay, so it's actually inverted scale because it's much easier to read. So whenever we see a lot of extremes, either in calls and puts, it means that market could potentially be actually looking for reversals. Okay, and you can see here there were markets was buying a lot of puts. Okay, it's inverted, a lot of puts each time when the S&P 500 was trading at the potential supports. And now we are again seeing this put call ratio, or I should say call put ratio, because it's inverted again at the lower side of this range. So again, we see some extremes. It means that investors, speculators are afraid of more potential weakness, that market will see much more downside. So it's not a surprise to see nvidia making a sharp drop, because nvidia has been one of the best performers over the last few months. So obviously if something moves to the upside in huge percentages, then this set will normally see very huge percentage when there is a pullback. So that's totally normal. But what we are seeing here that from sentiment perspective, we could be moving into some extremes and interesting potential times when the S&P 500 could again see supports. Of course, it can be here around 5,000, possibly can be even lower. Okay, because I have a few potential supports that we are watching very closely. Now here is the S&P 500. That's one of the wave counts that we are tracking. I will not go to other wave counts because some charts obviously are reserved for our premium services. But what we are seeing here is a very nice and very sharp drop. We are at the upper side of this potential base channel. Okay, so that's normally the first support area for a wave 4. But since this was very sharp drop, I definitely realized that there can be even lower, a deeper pullback for free wave drop into wave 4, even back to 38.2%. And this comes in at 4,800. So this area is also very important. But we'll see what kind of a rally bounce we can maybe trigger in this week, or maybe in the next 2 weeks. I still think that even if there will be a temporary reversal to the upside or bounce, still you will see a wave B rally that will test higher resistances. Okay, or maybe we'll just go sideways. But I still think that the higher degree trends, okay, is still here. There is no reason to fight this trend and say that that's a major multi-year top, because we are at all-time highs. You will have less chances to be right if you'll try to calling the multi-year top up here. Of course, it would be a totally different story if we start breaking 4,600, or even lower prices could trigger much more weakness then. And of course, the higher degree time frames will have to be adjusted in such case. But I still think that now it's a little bit too early to say that we are seeing an important significant top. I still think that that's part of this corrective pullback that we are tracking. Looking at the German DAX, here also we have seen some very serious sell-offs in the last 3 weeks. But last week, after these events between Iran and Israel, market was able to stabilize around 17,400. It was a very interesting spike on that intraday basis, and as long as we are above that level, I still think that there is a chance that we will see more upside. If we'll actually maybe zoom in a little bit, okay. By the way, I don't have a labeled wave count here because again, I don't want to share everything here, unfortunately. So here we have quite overlapping drop. Now, if you will try to count this as an impulse, I'm sure that you will have a lot of issues to count it in a correct way. Okay, and what I like so far is that we have seen a very sharp drop here and then immediate very sharp reversal, and now we have a continuation after Friday close. So despite strong sell-off on nvidia and other big names on technology sector, we are still seeing DAX turning to the upside. So if that big names will try to stabilize at the start of this week, I think the German DAX will be even higher. And I even shared a long idea here with our members because we spotted a very nice reversal. So I think that that's a very good potential risk reward play here on the long side, as long as the market is trading above that level. Of course, keep an eye on potential intraday setbacks. I think that there can be some supports around 7,700 if we see another near-term retracement here. Also, if we stop here, there can be maybe small head and shoulders bottom formation as well. If we just, let's assume that we just go sideways here and then turn to the upside. Okay, so at least in the short term, I just think that maybe stocks could see a bit of more upside. But if we go back to the S&P to realize how far or what kind of structure a wave 4 can form here. Is this already completed wave 4? We'll see more complex wave 4. It really depends what kind of a bounce we will see of smaller time frames. Would this be in 3 waves, which would be a corrective, or in 5 wave movement like an impulse, and we will start looking back towards the highs. Also, crude oil, as you know, has been pretty volatile last week. But now, how you know that situation in Middle East come down when you see crude oil coming back to the downside. But we are not seeing crude oil just bearish here. I just think that that's neutral phase here for crude oil. What is probably the most important is that I think that this is a corrective price action from 2023 lows. Okay, so I think that that's key, can be a triangle, can be a potential higher degree ABC rally up towards maybe even back towards $100 per barrel. But why I'm looking for potential complex correction here from that 2023 lows, and why I'm not saying that this is already done here is because market recovered here above this black trend line. And normally when I'm tracking, or if I think that wave B is finished here, and then I suddenly see that price is breaking this trend line that is connected from the starting point, okay, to this swing high, then this is normally the most important evidence for me to say that most likely the correction from that low is still ongoing, is still not completed. Okay, so that's why we came out with an idea that this can be maybe wave B still underway, potentially as I said, as a triangle, or maybe as a higher degree ABC rally that will take us back to 100. But if we'll scale down to the smaller time frames, you will see that you have some overlapping price action down there. So on the 4-hour, 1-hour time frame. So it's a very critical support right now for this week, around $80 to $81 per barrel in that area. If we will either stay sideways here or even bounce if something else, something new happens on the Middle East, then of course this is now the important support. If you want to hedge your potential long exposure on stocks, as I said already on Friday on Twitter, then maybe still you will either see jump on crude oil or crude oil will just stay sideways here. I just don't see any kind of a reason why crude oil would be much lower at the moment. Okay, I just think we will see more continuation to the right or even another jump here. Also, let's take a look now on gold. Okay, so gold is making some very nice pullback. I like the idea that we are finally seeing this wave C. It's also happening on Monday, first day of the week. Usually when you see some aggressive sharp sell-off, okay, or even sharp break higher, let's say, on first day of the week, I usually don't trust these flows. Okay, I just think that it's a little bit too early to say that this is, let's say, a real bull run to a break to the upside on Monday or bear run. So I still think that this could be just a temporary move and that we could see potentially like a Tuesday, Wednesday reversals. So what I'm looking at is an ABC formation, very nice and strong support is at 2,300. So if you really think that metals or gold in general is going to see much higher prices, it's in a bull run, then obviously this will be another opportunity to join this trend, okay? Because if we start falling, let's say, back below 2,200, then I just think that big picture could change as well, and there can be some profit, serious profit taking. Of course, we have to understand that there is a lot of longs increasing up here, and sooner or later, even metals, even if they are so strong, will move into late stages of this current cycle based on sentiment. But still, from an Elliott wave perspective, I just think that in the short term, 2,300 is a very interesting, attractive support. Now, let's take a look on dollar. Let's talk about dollar index a little bit. As you know, last time in the past webinars, I mentioned that this could be a wave 2 rally and we will could see a reversal to the downside. But since this thing is keep holding up very strong, I just think that more appropriate wave count could be potential bearish triangle for an ABCDE pattern if this resistance around 107 will hold, or possibly we will see extension towards 108, 109. But I still think that this is a counter trend movement and that you have a very strong 5-wave drop from that high. So I don't think that dollar will see any kind of a strong rise back towards 115 unless you will, because no one believes in the dollar, unless there will be rush into the cash market because some serious, very strong sell-off will occur on the stock market. Then, of course, there will still be a lot of demand for dollar, and this thing will drive other assets to the downside. But as it looks, I still believe that later this year, dollar will see more weakness, and maybe we will firstly have to wait on this correction on the S&P 500 to fully unfold on that wave 4. Okay, finally to start driving these things around, or maybe that Fed will finally start cutting rates, or will be more showing more strong words that they're really committed to cut rates this year. Because now, as you know, this is still all just poor speculation and gamble, and they're not really sure how to do. They're always said it depends on the data, and we are keep hearing this for the last 6 months. Okay, now euro dollar, maybe short term, it's a little bit maybe interesting here. So I'm tracking potential 5-wave movement underway from that March highs. So still slightly more weakness here is possible. 105.50 I believe can be coming. Also take a look that this was a very nice resistance at 106.95 here. Potential retest of of the same level or 20 pips higher would be still a very attractive, interesting resistance for the potential sell-off here. Somehow also the ECB last week in the recent announcements, they sound a little bit more dovish compared to Fed. So I'm not sure really if they will be first to cut rates, but that's definitely certainly something that we have to consider. Maybe not be surprised if the euro dollar would really break to the downside based on this speculation. Now let's take a look on cable. Well, cable, actually I don't have a wave count here because I want to show something very simple here. So whenever I'm tracking, okay, a counter trend movement, why this one is not working, a counter trend movement, you want to see that wave C will find the support at the lower side of the trading channel. Okay, usually when this happens, then the break of the upper side of this channel will be confirmation that this was a correction and bull run will resume. But whenever we are start seeing price accelerating and breaking the lower trend lines support of the same channel, then this is very concerning. Okay, so in such case, we could even have here deal with a wave 3 sell-off rather than wave C. In such case, you could see something like that, and you will see more weakness after wave 4 rally. So pound is very weak at the moment, and I would try to avoid it because I'm not really sure if this interpretation is really going to prove correct to be an impulsive wave 3 or it's going to be wave C. But if we'll start seeing another 100 pip sell-off, then I think that more weakness will be seen, and I could be even looking for potential shorts on pullbacks. Okay, if we start seeing, let's say that market will recover and start to break in the next 24 hours, and we'll see a bottom and 125 is out, then I still would be willing to turn bullish. So for now, it's a very scary picture here, and at least let's say for the next 2 weeks or so, not for the 2024. It just tells us that maybe this correction that pound stepped in back in March could be just more deeper than firstly thought. Okay, but definitely I will keep an eye on these developments very closely for our members for sure. Now let's take a look firstly on Aussie. So Aussie, notice that is coming to the downside, to the lower side of this, what is this, 2-year range. So shorting Aussie here, well, it's not really maybe the best idea unless we see stock market really continuing to the downside this week, and you see Aussie maybe breaking 64,300, then of course that would be the different story. But in Elliott wave terms, I think that this can be some triangle underway. There are more different possibilities here. My primary view is that was an impulse and you are now sideways for a triangle and you are at the potential support, the 78.6%. The second interpretation, okay, which is also very valid, would be that this whole pattern is a triangle, okay? But what's interesting behind it is that even these ones may show potential missing E wave, okay? So you still would expect some stabilization down here. And if we look closely, there can be even some 5 waves down on the smaller time frames here from April 9 high. So I think that maybe some stabilization could occur in the next few days. But if we really are going to see maybe US yields coming finally to the downside, stocks will show us very strong rebound. That's when we may start looking towards Aussie. Till then, until we have still China stocks very weak, I just think that Aussie will keep consolidating here. So you want to see other stuff start moving around before this one could actually attract new buyers. Okay, now looking at dollar yen, just more like a short term here. Notice that dollar yen here is potentially unfolding 5 waves up from that start of April. What's the most important here, and I also shared this on Twitter as well last week, is that you have only 3 wave drop here on the US yields. So as long that's the case, dollar could still stay strong, especially versus weak Japanese yen. But you have BOJ decision, interest rates decision this Friday. So it will be very interesting, very important to see if BOJ will be looking for another hikes. They somehow hinted that this could be the case. Maybe they are not done yet for this year, but I'm not really sure if they want to act just immediately after they done it in the last meeting. So maybe they will take some more time before they may finally act. But I'm definitely convinced that they will, with their rhetoric, they will somehow try to bring Japanese yen higher. Okay, they realize that it's trading much lower. They already had some meetings even with other countries, meaning that they could at some point do the intervention on the FX markets. The last time in November, they done it on themselves. But if you have other countries involved, then this could be much more aggressive reversals. We also see a lot of yen crosses moving into some extremes. They're still bullish, of course, but there is a risk, much more risk, that there can be a much stronger drop whenever market will turn around rather than much higher upside from here. Now in Elliott wave terms, I also see very nice 5 waves up. So for resistance 155 to 155.50 is actually the exact one. You have the 61.8% projection of wave 3 extension measure from end of wave 4, and then you have 161.8% of wave 4, and a bit above it is 200% extension of wave 4. So these are the key levels to observe potential limited upside for wave 5 here. So obviously still room for some more upside. Okay, now let's take a look also on cryptocurrencies. You know, cryptocurrencies has seen some very nice rebound during the weekend. By the way, this is our app, wavetraders.com. So we have these premium services here. Here I want to take a look at this total market cap. As you know, we have seen a very nice free waves drop. We've been updating you frequently when the market was trading down here, and so far we are seeing a very nice price stabilization, and this again is happening despite the fact that nvidia sold off. Okay, so halving is behind. Maybe there was just some hype, some new inflows that is now trying to push the prices higher, but whenever these inflows will move into extremes, we will have a new resistance for cryptos and Bitcoin, in my opinion. But for now, based on the Elliott wave perspective, this really looks like a very nice, solid price action that can take us higher. Of course, you want to see maybe to make sure that we are really starting this fifth wave up, you want to see a recovery back above what, 2.5 trillion, maybe 2.6, even better, to make sure that we are really here in the recovery mode. Now, even this Ripple, okay, even the Ripple is interesting. By the way, Ripple came down to the lower side of this very big triangle range. It spiked slightly to a new low here, triggered potentially liquidated some longs, and now the market stabilized. So we were seeing this stabilization on a smaller time frame, okay, despite or even during the event in the Middle East. So even when Bitcoin and Ethereum retested some of the lower levels, Ripple was doing quite well, okay? And I still think that Ripple could potentially see much more upside, and we even shared some trading notes here for this one after the recent spike lower. So I think that there can be a bit of more upside, especially if we consider that that was a free wave drop that goes from mid-March. Of course, an overlap with this 56 cents or so would make things even more bullish. Okay, but of course you want to see maybe even better to have a 5-wave rise from the lows to make sure that the trend is turning here. Also, if you look at the Bitcoin itself here, very nice rebound from these key supports, 38.2%. We found the support at this spike that goes back to start of March, even cleared some stops below March 20. So I think that that's again very nice potential reversal, continuation pattern here for more upside. I just don't think why we should fight the trend here, or maybe look for any kind of again multi-year top when you have still an uptrend, and in uptrend only 3 waves down. Okay, what I have left for today, by the way guys, please press a like if you're watching this live, or leave us a commentary if you watch this event later. And also, if you love the content, make sure to maybe to share some of this content with your friends or followers, whatever. Okay, what I have here, maybe Solana. This one made a quite interesting pullback here. Notice that we found the support here at the previous peak here from December. So very nice rebound so far, and wave 4 not really exact the same to wave 2, but that's never the case. Markets are not textbook, but we came pretty close here. Now just wondering if we can see an overlap with the 160, because this overlap, okay, would then make this drop from the highs in 3 waves and not in 5 waves. Because if you're just more bear, you would maybe label this as a wave 4 rally and you would be expecting more downside. But if you see price recovering above wave 1, well, then bearish impulse interpretation would be invalidated, and this even puts more confidence into the bullish case. Okay. Also, what I watched even last week was Shiba. This one also had a very nice sell-off here. It was a pretty nice ABC setback. Now we are already recovering above this trend line, so I think that there can be much more upside here on this coin as well. As well as some of other interesting altcoins that we are regularly share in our members area. Okay, traders, that's it from me for today. I hope that you enjoyed the content. If you want more of the analysis, of course, we update a lot of intraday charts as well, which are not frequently covered in our webinars because obviously I don't want to share everything. But if you want some more updates, make sure to check wavetraders.com and you can apply for a trial. Okay, traders, have a good day. Enjoy your week. Bye.